Watching VOP, I don't know why you're watching. Maybe I'm watching your weight.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Wale Ojo, and you're watching VOP, Voice of the People.
Hi, guys. You already know who it is. This is New Energy. Flyers, whatever, live it. Keep watching VOP TV. Thank you.
Hi, people. Ginny Albano here. Guys, please keep watching Voice of the People.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing.
And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Mr. Familoni, and here's to VOP TV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
Arara, my name is Made Kuti, and you're watching VOP TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOP TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing VOP TV. Now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOP TV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice. In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television. Don't just react, understand.
Glad to have you back. You're still watching The Issues on Voice of the People Television. Let's dive straight into today's discussion. Kwara State Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak has decried the recent attack on communities in the state, describing it as a pure massacre. The governor, who described the incident as one of the worst security breaches in the state's history, confirmed that 75 victims have been buried following the deadly assault and called for urgent federal intervention to prevent further bloodshed. In response, President Bola Tinubu has ordered the immediate deployment of additional troops to Kwara State, condemning the attack and directing security agencies to restore calm and apprehend those responsible. Tinubu expressed rage that the attackers killed the community members who rejected the attempt at indoctrination. However, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has accused the federal government of ignoring prior security warnings before the massacre. In a statement, the opposition party claims intelligence reports and early alerts were allegedly raised but not acted upon, contributing to the scale of the tragedy. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by two distinguished guests. Here in the studio, we have Segun Sopiton. He is a financial expert and a good governance advocate, serving as the chairman, Accountability Candor and Transparency Network. Glad to have you join us, sir.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir. And we also have, joining us virtually, we have Comrade Destiny Enabulele. He is a former local government chairman and former member of the Edo State House of Assembly. He's also a public affairs analyst. Glad to have you join us, comrade.
Me.
Glad to have you join us.
Yes, I'm here. Thanks for having me. Guess you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, let me start first with you, comrade. Let me start with you. I'm sure you've been following this particular story. We've seen, aside from the Kwara situation, we've seen so many attacks just this week. And you know, I want to just, what do you make of this? An attack of this scale occur without early interception by any of our military officer or officials?
Well, let me quickly, start by appreciating your platform for giving us another opportunity to cross-ventilate our position or postulations as to the Nigerian state as it is very just now. You see, we have said it over time. A nation that prides himself or herself, not a nation, those that are at the helm of affairs that pride himself or herself to have been above board, this is what before such a nation. What do I mean by that? You see, if you just look across all the security formations, I must be very frank with you. Not too long ago, about a few minutes ago, I happened to have one online discussion. They raised the issue of the DSS, the Nigerian, the DSS as it is right now. You will agree with me that the DSS as it is right now has lived its duty, as in its constitutional, duty. They are now in bed with money. They are not contractors. I have said it in this platform and any other platforms that the DSS as the current stand, which ought to be the intelligence gathering for this state, this country, I mean this state, this country, they are now becoming the top wing of the APC, with that sense of responsibility, with that sense of humility. They are now the top wing of APC. Hence, the issue of gathering, intelligence is looking for, or perhaps fighting for destiny, as I speak very just now. So there is a lacuna. I must be very frank. Today, I will not hit hard on the Nigerian police, because you and I know that the Nigerian police, as it currently stand, is not in existence. The Egbeto Kun, the IGP, you call the IGP, and the Edo State Commissioner here. For us in Edo, we don't know what the one they call Agmanika, Monday Agmanika or something, so to speak. With utmost humility, they have reneged. They have reneged in their constitutional responsibility. But this evening, I will situate it at the doorstep of the DSS, because I've happened to be a victim of the DSS. Not too long ago, August to be very precise, the deputy state governor of Edo State, they are not giving us the deputy governor of Edo State, coordinated my attack to be attacked at the by-election in Edo State of that Southwest in Gobazowa Ward 1 or Zolamode Primary School with over 30 boys. The person that led the attack, the organization that led the attack, was a DSS official or officer, led the attack to attack me when I was doing my constitutional duty by way to cast my vote, my ballot. I saw them coming. That's why I said, so I have every right to say that they are not becoming a top wing of the APC, because I wrote a petition to the DSS, to the police command, where they said whether the deputy governor has immunity. What about the other persons that was fingered to have spearhead my attack? Okay. As I speak.
Okay.
No word from the DSS, no word from the Nigerian police. That is why I said I pity with Nigerians. I've said it in the time past that when you crave for a society, and when that kind of society is not forthcoming, if you become an outlaw, it's not a crime. It's not a crime. If you say I'm calling for, if your meaning is that I'm calling for violence, then maybe that's your own meaning.
Okay, comrade.
But yes.
Okay, you know, let's come back to the issue at hand. This is a Kwara issue that we're talking about now, and you know, one of the things that the president has done is to deploy troops. Would you applaud this? Would you say that this is more of a crisis management rather than prevention? Let me hear your take before I come
my
to
sister.
our guest in the studio.
I was perfectly at the course of discussion. I was gradually driving the past. I was there, you know, talking about the issue at hand. You see, we must understand the undercurrent of the situation. There was, you see, this is an afterthought. If you ask me, this is an afterthought. See, if not because that the president of the United States of America, you know, gave us a Christmas gift. A Christmas gift. We would have been talking about Nigeria as we speak very just now. The only little piece that we've enjoyed is as a result of the Christmas gift. So what this present government, what they are after, it is how to impoverish the average Nigerian. As we speak, they are out to collect taxes, the security and welfare of any of us, perhaps of the selected few. That is why you see some of them, they are already living like Pablo Escobar, and one of them is living like a city boy in the creek. How is that possible for you to be living a city boy in the creek? For some of us that grew up in the creek, you can understand the scenario where I'm coming from. So the issue of deploying, the issue that's mercy after death, mercy, a lot of harm has been done. I tell you, this time tomorrow you will hear another attack in this country. So for us, the problem will lack the political will, because as we speak very just now, they are not talking about how to govern. They are talking about how to win 2027 election across board, across the length and breadth of this country. They have been beclouded by 2027, thereby leaving governors to suffer as we speak in this country. Since the inception of this president, most especially this present administration of the city boy, the issue of governance is settling. It is in comatose. What do you expect? Barely 8 months or 7 months to administration. You started campaigning for 2027. I told Nigerians then that we shouldn't expect anything fantastic, or according to my grandmother, anything fantabulous. Permit me to use that word, according to my grandmother. We shouldn't expect it. And where are we today? A friend of mine called me from Canada about a few hours ago, a few hours ago. He said, Destiny, said, there's one interview that I granted sometime 2023. I think December 2023. He said, I'm trying to look at what is happening in Nigeria. Okay. It's exactly what I foresaw, or rather what I forecast that is happening. For me, this present administration, my dear sister, let nobody deceive us.
Okay, I'll come back to you.
You must, yes, let me land with this thought. Okay. Let me land with this thought. You must try to be very careful not to find your hands in the hands of either the kidnappers or to have been a victim of the terrorists. You must try to be very careful. I was at a very big company yesterday for one-on-one discussion. The guy told me that there is a circular from their headquarters in France that they should not live outside the city center. Outside the city center. So what do you think of that, my dear sister? What about our sisters, our cousins, our nieces and nephews that is in the rural?
Okay, comrade, let me come in here, comrade. I have other questions I want to ask you, but let me just get to hear the view of our guests in the studio, and I will come back to you.
No problem.
Mr. Said, I was going to say Dr. Shafita. Okay, sir. You know, it's not a funny incident. We see many lives just go down just like that, and you know, this is what our nation has become, you know, where we get to see death upon death each week and everything. But let me ask you the question I asked comrade. First, why do you think this deployment of troops, you know, we get to hear, it looks like the president just come up and then just say things after this has happened, after whatever it is that happened. Do you think we do more of crisis management in this country rather than prevention?
Yeah, thank you, my sister. You know, The reality of the situation is that the entire security challenges we face appears to be bigger than what our political leadership has been able to handle so far. And the evidence is right there, before us. All you have to do is pick up the newspapers or listen to TV or radio every day, and you see that we're overwhelmed. It's almost like a surging wave of ocean waters, and the barriers and the dams that have been put in place is not able to hold the surge back, and the water is simply overrushing the barriers and consuming people. This type of per incident response will not solve the problem. It's interesting though to realize that deployment of troops is what the president has ordered, which is, I'd say, let me use the word unusual, because the standard response that we have had in the past, aside from one incident under President Muhammad Buhari's regime, the standard response has been to condemn the attacks in very strong terms, to ask, to tell the security services to mobilize against it, to say that this is dastardly and it has to stop. It's always been rhetoric. I think it's the first time in a while that I've heard the president, even this president has done a lot of that, condolences, condemnations and all that. This time around, I find it curious that he is deploying troops, in a public statement. And that is something new to a large extent. And it will be very interesting to look further into this and find out why that is the instruction or why that is the action rather than the typical condemnation. So to that extent, I would say, okay, this is curious. I'd like to see where this will go. Having said that, though, you have to continue to insist that the president in particular, because the buck stops at his desk, has failed. This is a failure with regards to one of the most fundamental responsibilities of any government anywhere in the world. And it is a constitutional duty to protect. The Constitution says that the primary purpose of government is to protect the lives and property of citizens within the country. And it is very obvious that that is not happening. We're seeing, like you said, we have become deconscientized with regards to death. And people read these reports and just move on. It has become another news item. And we've lost our sense of sensitivity to the sanctity of the human life. We read these news items in the headlines. Nobody realizes or remembers that these are actual human beings. Fathers, mothers, children, nephews, and that is a shame. Every week there is a report. This report that you're talking about that's happened in Kwara State, the newspapers say it's about 100. You read in some papers they say 170. But at the same time, there's a killing in Katsina. So if you put, the reports together, we're talking of well over 200 people that have died in just 24 hours. I mean, are we at war? Even in war-torn countries, the casualty numbers that are reported in this country over the last year, in some countries that are at war, they don't have those types of casualties in terms of deaths in particular. And it's a tragedy. We have to continue to demand that this issue must be resolved, especially by the president. Boko Haram cannot overwhelm the Nigerian state. Nigeria is the fifth largest, the largest black nation in the world. 1 out of every 5 black people in the world are Nigerians, right? It's the largest economy in Africa. Forget the rebasing and all of that. We're the largest economy in Africa. We've got either the second, third, or first largest military. And when you look at military operations across the world, across Africa in particular, and even other parts of the world, Nigeria contributes its very, very competent quota. We remember the days of ECOMOG, our operations in East Africa, with United Nations peacekeeping forces. Why is it that this same military has been unable to vanquish these terrorists? It's a very, very fundamental question. Now, we have the problem of Boko Haram, backed by ISIS, ISWAP, and all of that. We've got the problem of the bandits, so-called, in the northwest, Lakurawa and all of that. We've got the problem of the killer herdsmen in the north central. All of these terrorist groups just seem to have evolved without the ability of our government to put some sort of pushback to prevent them taking over, large swaths of territory. As we speak today in Nigeria, there are so many large expanses of territory that is ungoverned, and that terrorist groups of various inclinations are collecting taxes from citizens. I mean, that is one of the biggest signs of failure of government. So when you say a country is a failed state, one of the signs is an absence of government structures for large expanses of land. So if you go 100 kilometers, square kilometers, there is no police station, there is no military formation, there is no DSS, and terrorists are reigning supreme and taking taxes and hoisting flags. It's a failed state. So we need to tell the truth to ourselves. We need to tell the truth to the president. We need to let them know that we're in a crisis. And indeed, whether we realize it or not, we're at war. You see some of the images that come out of Benue State, from Plateau State, in some years back from Maiduguri, Yobe, Adamawa. Those are pictures that you see from war-torn countries, where you see burnt houses, bodies, bones, littering the floor. Those are images. You see burnt vehicles, vehicles that have been bombed. Those are images that come out of war-torn countries around the world. So we need to understand that we're at war. Our politicians need to understand that we're at war. And they need to conduct themselves like political leaders that are leading a country that is at war. We are supposed to have a war room as we speak right now in this country, led by the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, relating on a daily basis with the heads of the security services, the military, the police, the DSS, and any other paramilitary, organization that can help. We are supposed to be having daily or weekly briefings with the president, with clear strategic directives and actions to decimate these terrorists. Why does it seem as if we are powerless? How can we be powerless with the resources available to the government? So clearly there's something that is missing. And I think that the missing factor is the political will. It's the fact that our politicians are unwilling to confront the sponsors and the sources of this terrorism. Because the word out there is that many of these sponsors and supporters are people within the political circles that our leadership is unwilling to step on those toes. We have to call them out and demand that this problem be solved so that Nigerians can stop dying in droves on a daily basis. If the president knows that he can't resolve this thing, he can resign. It's not, you don't have to die in office. You can resign if you can't solve the problem.
Okay, while you were speaking, one of the things you talked about, you responded to one of my questions, because I was going to ask you what has actually failed more. Is it our strategy? Is it intelligence coordination? Is it our political will? And you actually mentioned
it's leadership.
Political will. But I will still want you to speak a little bit about that. But before then, and before I go to our virtual guest, while you were speaking, you talked about the deployment of these soldiers, and he said this is actually new. Yeah. But I want to ask, do you think that this action or reaction or action by the president, could it be linked to the fact that we have some U.S. officers, military officers on ground? Do you think there's a possibility of that? Yeah,
I mean, I've heard about that, and it will not be too far-fetched to link the two. Which is a shame, it's a shame. My heart bleeds when I think about my country and the fact that another foreign power, in my lifetime, I've not seen this before, has sent in bombs, missiles into our country, right, to help us decimate our enemies. It's a shame. We shouldn't get to the point where we're so helpless that foreign powers must come into our territory to help us out. But look, like a lot of people have said, if that's what needs to happen now, who can really, within reasonable senses, say no to that? So, yeah, the rumors are out there that U.S. troops are on ground, and maybe that's why the president has now said he's deploying, troops to that place so as to save face, like they did when missiles were sent in, and they said, oh, it was with our knowledge, and all that. We all know that that is horse crap, respectfully, that language, right? So we'll see. Whatever has happened, you can only hide the truth for so long. It will come out, and we'll know what the truth is.
Okay, let me come to your comrade. One of the things PDP, while reacting to this particular Kwara incident, talked about the fact that intelligence, there had been warnings about this particular situation or this particular attack months before it occurred. And, this is not the first time we're hearing that there was a pre-warning. Even in the case of Kebbi, when the school at the abduction took place, we knew that some of the community, the villagers said they had come out, the school had said they had come out to say that there was going to be an attack, and there was a warning, but the warning was not heeded to. Why do we keep having situations like this where we get to hear that, okay, there was an intel and this intel was not heeded to, and nobody has actually taken responsibility, and nobody has borne the repercussion of not heeding to warnings such as this?
About repercussion. In Nigeria is a place where you carry out any activities without any repercussion. I don't know whether you've heard that one of the notorious terrorists was issued an APC membership card. I don't know if you heard.
No,
I hope I'm not the first person that's letting you to know that he was issued a membership. At any rate, we've had issues, and a sitting governor once alleged his predecessor that during an election that he empowered a terrorist to compel the villagers to vote for his party. A sitting governor. See, my friend at the studio they said it. Nigeria is a failed state as we speak very just now. I don't know what is working in this country. Just tell me one thing that is working. For me, I cannot point to one thing that is working. I want to be very frank, because as we speak, the president and his party, or perhaps his co-travelers, they are facilitating the murder of Nigerians in drones. I stand to be corrected. Today they want to prosecute, or rather prosecuting Malami for not taking action. But they themselves, they have the list of the sponsors. What have they done with it? My brother, my dear sister, what is good for the good is good for the gander. What they have the list of the so-called sponsors, but today they are persecuting. Permit me to use that word. This is not persecuting. They are persecuting Malami for not taking action. But they have been in office for close to 2 years, by May or thereabout, or even more than 2 years. I don't know. Or more than 2 years. What have they done? Nigeria must begin to ask the salient question: what have they done with the list they have? You see, there's a saying that if elders don't talk, the children will consume vulture, thinking they are consuming chicken. Nigeria, as it is very just now, you can see the way I'm speaking. I'm speaking from inside. It's not a lip service. I'm patriotic to my country, not to the president, not to the minister, not to the governor. Perhaps you must have heard last night that in Edo State, that the ruling party wanted to set the major the ADC secretariat, state secretariats ablaze. See, I told you, see, what they are concerned now is not whether you and I are safe or whether we have security. What they are concerned now is how to secure 2027 election. If you like, you believe me. If you like, leave it. They are perfecting every plans to make sure that they are returned unopposed. So the issue of security is if not for United States of America, I don't think you and I will be at the studio. I will be at my comfort zone and be talking to you. Because as we speak, they are picking everybody that know that is speaking the truth. that say they are not patriotic. What is patriotism? It is loyalty to one's country, not loyalty to Mr. President, or not loyalty to Mr. Vice President. It's loyalty to one's country. What is that loyalty? To begin to speak truth to power, no matter who else is God. That is loyalty. If it's me that is dead, that is not doing well, speak truth. Tell me what I have to do that I'm not doing. That is loyalty. You are speaking truth to your country. You are telling your country this way it's not to be. Have you seen, as we speak in this country, the civil society are more or less in comatose? Because this present rulers, they rule on the back of the civil society to power. And they understand. You know, I grew up in the village. The LCM, I attended the school village. The LCM of civil society. You saw what the former Labour leader said. The person of Senator Adams Aleo Shomole, the former governor of Edo State. That Nigerians are complaining now that the foodstuff is too cheap. My dear sister, you go to market. Even I.
Okay.
Anytime I'm in Lagos, I'm in Abuja, I go to market. But a whole service senator, you people call the distinguished or something like that, saying that food is teaching, as we speak very just now. If we're to be a sane society, it's enough to cost him his seat. Okay. I've said it. I tell Nigerian people, we as a people, Nigerians, we are docile. We are not doing enough. That is why I once advocated, or perhaps sold it to Nigerians, or advised Nigerians, that as we prepare for 2027 general elections, as we all go out to gym every week, we must set aside 1 hour every week to practice madness in preparation for 2027.
Okay, comrade. Let's stop.
My dear sister, hold on. You see, I see, we have a problem with this country. We must like to call a spade a spade. You can see the way my brother put it just now. A square peg in a square hole. You see, the problem we are having, you know that you and I, we are afraid. That we are
about this next issue, because I know that you have a lot to talk about when it comes to the next conversation that we have, and that is about the Senate. Don't worry, let me just give a brief background on what it is. The Senate has rejected a proposal to make electronic transmission of election results mandatory, sparking criticism from opposition parties and civil society groups. The decision was made during the consideration of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, with lawmakers opting to retain the current provision that allows the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to determine the mode of result transmission. The African Democratic Congress, ADC, has condemned the Senate decision, describing it as a deliberate attempt to weaken democratic safeguards and prepare the ground for electoral manipulation. The party argued the electronic transmission of results is critical to protecting the will of Nigerian voters and preventing electoral abuse. Also, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar described the decision as a grave setback for electoral reform and a calculated blow against transparency, credibility and public trust in Nigeria's democratic process. Meanwhile, Senate Minority Leader Enyinaya Baribe has insisted that the Senate approved the electronic transmission of election results in real time, dismissing media reports suggesting otherwise. Let me come to you first, Mr. Shokwiton. What do you make of this action by the Senate? And you know, before you even answer, like you heard, there's a back and forth. We are seeing what we saw yesterday, and then Nabaribe is saying what he's saying. No, what do you make of this?
It's sad. It's sad that our representatives, I think sometimes we don't understand, how significant the role of the National Assembly, the legislature, is in a democracy. The executives will basically execute the mandate that is given to them by the National Assembly on behalf of the people, right? So the most important arm of government, if we really must face it from a conceptual point of view, is the National Assembly. They are the ones that represent the 230 odd million Nigerians who are unable to speak so that everybody can hear. And, so it becomes tragic when the interests that drive these legislators are other considerations than the interest of Nigerians. And that's the only basis for which you can have a situation where you have variations of legislation enacted by the National Assembly flying around. And you have legislators saying, oh, the bill that was passed, that was purportedly passed by the Senate under the leadership of the Senate President is not what we agreed on. You know, this is, it's damning. In other parts of the world, you resign. It's a clear vote of no confidence in the leadership of the National Assembly for one of them, not just one, a group of them to come out and say, this is not what we passed. The House of Representatives passed a bill, an amendment to the Electoral Act 2022, that made electronic transmission mandatory. Obviously, for them to have done that, there must have been consultation between the two chambers, and there must have been consensus that that was what was going to happen. Now, there was a lot of drama in the Senate back and forth over the last 2-3 weeks, where there were a lot of closed-door sessions, you know, back at 4 hours, 5 hours, and then they come out of those sessions, they don't tell the public what the discussions were. So we all knew that something was going on, and we now know what it was. Because obviously it was a clear division amongst the senators, while some are insisting, as most Nigerians are, that electronic transmission must be mandatory. You know, it must not be left to the discretion of INEC the way it was in the old act. If you want Nigerians to participate in elections, and if we understand that elections are the fundamental foundation of successful democratic governance, then you must ensure that the process is transparent. INEC has come up with these beautiful mechanisms relying on technology to ensure transparency of the process. Why is the legislature not empowering INEC or compelling them to use those very same technology-backed mechanisms to ensure transparency of the process? Obviously, there are other interests at play. So it's very unfortunate. I think that at this point, Nigerians need to take the matter into their hands, more so as the House of Reps has passed a version that aligns with the wishes of the majority of Nigerians, that Nigerians must now speak with boldness, with a one united voice, to say that this coming election must run under an act that makes it mandatory for INEC to transmit elections at source, at the polling unit, because that becomes a guarantee, a checkmate, you know, an almost airtight checkmate of collation center manipulation of results, which is really what has been at the root of electoral fraud in this country. It's never really at the polling unit. The days of snatching ballot papers, you know, destroying it, burning it, and rubber stamp printing large swaths of ballot paper is almost behind us because of beavers. Because biometric technology has now made it more difficult to just thumb print. People still try it, but it's more difficult and it's easier to prove in court, which means now that the game has shifted from violence to actual writing of results at collation center. So if you are able to compel the INEC to transmit those results from the polling unit, such that what you are seeing at the polling unit can be cross-checked with what is transmitted at the collation center, then fraud will be significantly reduced. Why is the Senate against this? So Nigerians must speak out with a clear voice and insist on whatever platform you are. I'm saying to Nigerians, whatever your platform is, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere, make sure you trend this topic, mandatory transmission of election results. We must trend it. You go out, let's be ready to go out and protest. You know, because like the comrade was saying, you know, you might find his language a bit, I don't know what to call it, but I agree completely. A man dies only once. And you know, this situation where all of us we seem to be afraid. You say, oh, let's go out and protest. They say they'll bring police. Oh, let's go out and protest. Army will shoot us. Think about NSAS. Look, nobody gets out of life alive. And nobody gets to heaven without dying. The day that we decide that we're ready to die, that is the day that we begin to live. And I'm not talking of just physical death, you know. Nobody really wants to go and take a bullet to the body. But look, in other parts of the world where reforms have happened, fundamental reforms of society, and those societies have started working. Just check it historically. there have been serious citizen civil unrest that has led to it. Politicians will never give you good governance on their own. You have to force them. So I always say, I've said it on this platform many times, that look, good governance is never given a la carte. You've got to grab it, you've got to snatch it, you've got to run away with it. You know, good governance, not ballot paper like somebody said recently. But if you want good governance as a people, you have to be ready to fight for it with everything that you've got, with united voice. So let us speak against this Senate and get them to understand that Nigerians want mandatory transmission of results from polling units. It's the only way forward, unless we don't want our country to make progress.
Wow. You've actually spoken very extensively. Let me hear at your take, comrade. We are already out of time, but in just a short while, just let me hear what you think about this. This is what many Nigerians have clamored for, are still clamoring for, and now we've seen our Senate trying to bypass this particular process, this particular line, or this particular need, or whatever it is that you would call it, that Nigerians actually want. This particular reform that it looks like this is what Nigerians want to see come 2027, they are bypassing it. What do you make of it?
You see, a madman is never embarrassed by his mental condition as his family members. I don't know if you get me. A madman. You know, I grew up in the village, so there are some mad persons in my community. So the families are more ashamed. Even the madman is not even aware whether he's insane or insanity. So the point, which is a straightforward thing. I don't know whether you've been to the Hallowed Chamber, the national, what they call it, their building there. You see, from my last count, they've never, experienced attendance, whether in the reps or in the Senate. All they are busy with, they are doing a massage at their private jets, getting content creator for adults to come and all of that. So those are their constituency projects.
Okay.
You see, they are not bothered about you and I. That is the gospel truth. You see, what we have seen from the Senate, when they constituted that committee, when I saw certain names, I told so. Then I was in Abuja before I came to Benin. I told my friend, I wouldn't want to mention his name. I said, this thing, you people should just forget it. You see, I said it earlier. You thought maybe I'm well. I'm well. You see, Nigerians, we are very docile. If, for instance, including my humble self, 5,000 Nigerians marched to the National Assembly, we won't insult anybody. Nobody is crazy, nobody is maddening. Permit me. We'll just get there, we'll sit there quietly. I'll go there with my mother's, one of my mother's rapper. I just go there, all of us will sleep. Spend 3 nights. No going in, no coming. We are not insulting anybody. We are not singing to anybody. To say that, to register our displeasure over this their man, humanity to man, over this rape on democracy. This is a rape on democracy. You see, if we fail to do what we ought to do now, what we ought to do will be the sacrifice tomorrow. Take it or leave it. Okay. They've succeeded. Let me learn with this thought.
Please.
If Nigeria refuse to act now, I had an experience with a dual election. I participated neck deep in that election. Neck deep. I represented my candidate, I represented my party. I was my party returning agent in my local government. What we saw, what we experienced at the unit, ward, and local government, was different from what was announced at the state INEC office.
Okay, comrade.
Just as bad as that. Nigerians must occupy the streets now.
Okay.
Nigerians must occupy the streets now. They must begin to practice madness. January 2027. Otherwise, we'll be here 2028. Myself and my friend there will be here talking. We must occupy the street now.
Okay, comrade. I would have loved to just allow you just talk on and on, but because of time, I'll have to let you go. Thank you very much, comrade.
I understand perfectly. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for sharing out of the deepest part of your heart and, of course, analyzing these issues. Thank you very much, comrade.
My pleasure.
Yes, sir. And thank you very much, Mr. Shopiton, for being a part of the show today. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Yes, sir. And that's all we have for today's episode of The Issues. We explored the challenges facing Nigeria and, of course, its electoral governance. Thank you for being a part of it. Don't forget to tune in next time for more in-depth analysis and discussion. Follow us on social media to stay up to date on the latest news and insight. Until next time, stay informed. Remember that the views and opinions expressed by our analysts are solely their own and do not reflect that of VOP Media. I am Nnenna Ndomdioto. This has been The Issues on Voice of the People Television, where the future faces forward. Please don't forget to stay tuned for Hashtag with Vivian by 8 p.m. Don't go away.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
We encourage you to click on the